in the 1940s. Irrigation, navigation, recreation, enhancement of fish and wildlife, and flood control. Senator Graham has said on multiple occasions we need to update these priorities so that we reflect the Florida we have today. That Florida had 2.5 million people. Today's Florida has closer to 22 million people. If we don't update our congressional priorities, as the Protect Florida Act is trying to do, then we are holding out for an infrastructure solution that is not going to come for decades. So I cannot underscore enough, if you are really serious about solving this problem, you have to be attacking operations and update their operational priorities.
So that's Okeechobee system operating.
So where does that toxic water go then? Because I live here and I'm thrilled to not have it come here, so where do we send it then?
Right, so it's a three-part problem if you look at this entire problem. We have an infrastructure problem, and that's CERT, we're working on that. We have an operational problem, that's the CNSF, the federal law that designates how we move water around, what our priorities are. And then we have a water quality problem, which is a state issue for the most part. So we definitely need legislation at the state level. We need to look at biosolids, septic tanks, BMPs, BMAPs, you name it, there's a long list. So operations isn't gonna change everything, but part of what exacerbates the algal blooms is operations, right? If the lake gets too high, then the submerged aquatic vegetation in the lake becomes a nutrient source as it dies instead of a nutrient sink. Back pumping further exacerbates these problems. So the way we manage the lake can exacerbate algal blooms, and that's the significance of the Corps' suggestion that we go to an emergency deviation is, you know, we can minimize the harmful impacts of this by changing the way we do it.
Right, but it's still eventually, when it is released, it does have to go somewhere. So if we're not sending it somewhere, where are we sending it?
And when there was algae bloom in the lake, for instance, last year, some of it went to the west, but it went through marshes, and it didn't really produce a lot of the toxic algae that we saw because we have no marshes in the lake. So the quality problem is an issue. We shouldn't have algae blooms in the lake, period. Why do we have those? And that's upstream, and that's what we got to do to get the water.
So is there anything we're doing here to address those issues about the water quality?
Absolutely.
And I know it's a state level, at the state, I know that.
We're fighting for clean water here in our estuary, and that's the Rivers Coalition. So yes, we recognize north of the lake needs to be cleaned up, that watershed, so that the lake water gets to its TMDL and it's cleaning it up. There won't be the algae blooms, but we still have the operational problem of the water. When the water was managed for the purpose of the Central South Florida Flood Control Project, it was mainly for flood control. To discharge it to the estuaries, they had no idea what it was causing these problems. They had no idea where else to put it. So now we know that it needs to go south, and as mentioned in the dry season, the Everglades and Florida Bay and all that need that water to flow south. It used to take about 16 months to go through that river of grass and flow south. We have lost that. We've blocked it off of the dam, and we shunted it out to the east and west coast primarily.
Yes.
So I got your question. But
I know, and I agree, but
Not-
truly nothing has changed, and nothing will change with this bill.
Mark. Well, let's not argue the bill at this point. Let's just go
Well,
back
I do argue it because it detracts from the real solutions.
Well, you can argue that. I have a
Okay,
question to that.
thank you.
But all the efforts on the pollution is voluntary best
Right.
practices. And
Right.
why isn't more being done for that? More being done about the septic tanks in Sewell's Point.
Well, that's a good point. And there's been over 8,000 septic tanks converted over to
There's no
central
monitoring, there's no
sewage system.
regulation,
You still have the problem
period,
of
the end.
biosolids when that happens. So let's try to not get into too much of an argument at this point or a discussion. Water quality is an issue. Septic tanks are an issue, but they don't contribute 10 to maybe 12% of the total nitrogen loading into the estuary. You saw in my presentation what contributes a major part is the discharges from the lake or the runoff from other industries. But septic tanks are an issue. So yes, we need to, Martin County, again, stepped up to the plate in 2015 and
There's
began hooking up.
municipalities spraying poison to control.
Yes, and he makes a valid point. Fertilizer ordinances, things that we do, the city of Stewart passes, other municipalities up and down our coast have passed ordinances. It's localized, doing something about it can be a very, very local situation, whether it's a county, municipality, or even an individual like me, living in my house and making sure that my runoff isn't gonna affect our waterways. All of us need to be responsible and help join together to be responsible for waterways. I'm gonna take two more and then we gotta get going. Yes?
Well, Don't
Jackie
you
and then.
think that Florida has to decide what we want to be? And we have to plan for the big picture in the future. And things like all those highways that the governor has just decided to build is ridiculous. What are they gonna do? They're gonna bring more people here. And we don't really want that many more people here. I know that. The growth issue is something that the Rivers Coalition has never dealt with. And now the herbicide thing, I mean, when I went to the Fish and Wildlife Commission, there were like, out of 35 speakers, 10 of us or 12 of us were talking about that. And on Tuesday, the commission is going to be voting on changes to the comp plan in the CRAs that are going to do damage to the rivers. You've got to pay attention to all of those things.
Well, we need to bring those forward specifically to how they
Please,
affect the.
I'd like us to make a resolution about herbicides.
Well, let's bring that up at the next
Could we
meeting.
bring that up at the next meeting? Thanks.
Charles,
I think
and
we're
then-
all just saying, let's consider Florida and the watershed as a whole, and not just in our own backyard, which I get that this group is for our estuaries, but you can't, we are not an isolated part of it.
We understand that.
I don't,
We do understand.
but your actions don't say that that's what you're working for, and that's what a lot of us have a problem
There are many of
with.
us who are involved in the large situation going to Tallahassee, DC. We do it, we put our boots to the ground. and-
I know you do.
I know you.
It's honestly not your intent that I question.
Well-
It's the people that you're following and giving into on the grander scale and the political scheme who are using you and using us.
All right, well, we'll have other discussion. One more thing and then we're
I
gonna
heard
wrap
a
it.
comment earlier about what is being done about